Yeah?
Where's the first guy?
Yeah.
All right,
You got ice on your chest?
You know where you are?
Yeah, California.
Okay. What city are you in?
Calabasas.
No way I would want to do that.
Date, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Yo, paramedic.
Yeah.
Before we go, I just want to tell.
After Jake Paul announced he was canceling their fight, Mike Tyson injured his ribs. You may be thinking, wait, didn't Mike delay the fight? How did he grab Jake's neck? Tyson can beat up without a fancy four-sided ring. Tyson visited Jake's training camp after he announced he would fight Mike Perry. And what transpired next was a full-fledged tale of epic proportions. What's fascinating is that no news outlet or YouTube channel has ever reported this bombshell, so let me be the first one. As we all know, Jake Paul was nearly obsessed with fighting Mike Tyson, like this man was ready to go all in. But then out of nowhere, he declares he's withdrawing out of the fight.
Yeah, the news is true, folks. I, Jake Paul, will be fighting Mike Perry, Tampa, Florida, July 20th.
Well, let me explain it down for you without any fluff. So once Jake revealed he was fighting Tyson, he got roasted, and I mean roasted. Every boxing expert and their dog had something to say, and none of it was good. Then Tyson revealed his training videos. That was the final nail in the coffin. See, Jake assumed he was prepared for a nice little exhibition bout. Jake began to perspire profusely as Rafael Cordero, Tyson's trainer, said that Mike was training as though he was preparing for the fight of his life. He attempted to hit the gym a bit harder, but let's be genuine. He was already shaking in his boots.
Date, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Now, if you got a chance to get out of something that may nearly end you, wouldn't you take it? Yep. Jake acquired the golden ticket when Tyson had to postpone the bout. Jake felt he'd just ride the tide of fame, filthy or clean from the previous excitement, and switch to fighting someone else. But Mike Tyson wasn't having any of that. He decided to give Jake the lesson he was reserving for the ring right then and there. But let's rewind a bit. What was going on with Tyson around that time? On June 5th, 2024, news reports came out that Tyson had a major ulcer flare-up, and we're not talking a minor gut discomfort. This was serious. It happened mid-flight from LA to New York. Tyson started experiencing this severe abdomen ache, and it grew so awful that the flight attendants had to step in. As soon as they landed, Tyson was brought to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with an acute ulcer flare-up. Tyson, the boxing legend, was brought out of the airport in a wheelchair, looking like he'd just gone through a battle.
No way, I did everything I was entitled to do in my career. There's nothing I regret.
Fans were stunned. This was Iron Mike, the guy who appeared unstoppable. The news circulated rapidly, and everyone was asking if he could maintain training and make it to the rescheduled bout. Tyson's health situation wasn't anything to fool around with. Ulcers can produce major problems, such internal bleeding and rupture of the stomach lining. His medical staff was on high alert, making sure he got the greatest treatment. Tyson had to change his training big time. No more rigorous sparring or heavy bag work. His program became all about mild cardio and technique, with a lot of attention on rest and recuperation. Even though he was faced with this health concern, Tyson was determined to keep going. His team set out a strategy to manage his illness, including food adjustments and medicines. Tyson had to avoid meals that may make his ulcers worse and take medicines to help his stomach heal. Despite these failures, Tyson kept his focus on the target. He was still training, although in a modified style, exhibiting his famous commitment to the sport. Fans in the boxing community were both scared and impressed. Tyson's ability to persevere through such a challenging condition was a monument to his unshakable spirit. The news about Tyson's ulcer has triggered a lot of conversation about the demands experienced by elite sportsmen. The intensive training and high-stakes competition may truly take a toll on their health. Tyson's condition underlined the need of a balanced approach to training and listening to your body, as you can see how hard he was training.
One more. Day 3, you still want to with me?
In the weeks following the tragedy, Tyson's recuperation progressed smoothly. His medical staff made sure he followed to his treatment plan, and Tyson himself took all the required measures. While his training wasn't as tough as previously, his attention and determination didn't wane. The media kept a careful eye on Tyson's health, speculating on how it would affect the fight with Jake Paul. Would Tyson be able to perform at his regular level? This question created even more suspense to the approaching match. But Tyson remained upbeat, telling supporters that he was on the mend and ready to take on Paul. "I've encountered greater fights in my life," Tyson stated, "and this is just another one I'll overcome." His statement struck a chord with followers who regarded his tenacity as a source of inspiration. Now, Tyson's effort to postpone wasn't simply about choosing a date. It was a strong and clear message that boxing isn't some game where you can just bail when you feel like it. No, sir. Once you're in, you're in. Tyson wasn't going to allow Paul, who had been clamoring for this fight for 2 solid years, just walk away. Jake desired this fight. He asked for it for 2 years. Now that he has it, he can't simply walk away, Tyson remarked, probably while giving his best death gaze. Tyson was here to make sure Jake knew that once you've made a vow in the ring, you stick to it. November 15th was officially D-Day, the moment everyone had been waiting for, the confrontation to end all showdowns. Tyson's motivation wasn't just about teaching Paul a lesson, but about showing the world what it meant to genuinely appreciate the sport of boxing. Jake Paul's decision to put the plug on his fight with Mike Tyson was a boiling mix of overconfidence, overwhelming public pressure, and a splash of reality check. At first, Jake was all in, dreaming of the day he'd stand triumphant over one of boxing's greatest legends. He was virtually salivating at the mouth with the anticipation of that headline-grabbing reputation-enhancing triumph. But then reality hit him harder than any right punch could. First off, Jake was frightened of the public outrage. As you can see his response here.
I know it's going to be tough. I know I'm going to have to fight through adversity. I know I might even go to the canvas. I'm scared, don't get me wrong, but it's not about the fear stopping me. It's about going into it even though I am scared, and that's what true bravery is.
Sure, he loved to play the big, nasty, confident person, but deep down, he understood what was up. With Tyson's serious ulcer flare-up making headlines and the elderly champ winding up in the hospital, the optics were all wrong. Imagine Jake knocking down an obviously ill Tyson. No way that would gain him any respect. More likely, he'd be condemned as the person who used an ill legend for a fast triumph. Not a nice appearance, right? Originally, Jake was riding high on a wave of ambition. And let's face it, a large dose of ignorance. He had this idea of himself standing over Tyson, victorious and relishing in the limelight. The thought of defeating a legend like Tyson was too alluring to resist. But when the realities of Tyson's health seeped out, acute agony, emergency hospital visits, Jake's dreams started to disintegrate. Winning under these conditions wouldn't be a win. It'd be a farce. And then there's the entire sportsmanship issue. Despite his outspoken demeanors, Jake really wished to be taken seriously in the boxing scene. He realized that facing a sick Tyson would only undercut all his attempts to acquire respect. A fair and honest fight was considerably more important to him than a hollow win. Making the choice to cancel the fight wasn't simple. Jake pondered it over, presumably losing sleep and consulting his closest counsel. But in the end, the concern of seeming like he was taking advantage of Tyson's illness and the need to retain the integrity of the sport won out. On June 10, 2024, Jake said he was pulling out, citing worries about Tyson's health in the spirit of fair competition. Because he didn't want to get forgotten, our lad Jake moved quickly to recruit a new opponent in order to maintain his prominence. Enter Mike Perry, a seasoned fighter with an aggressive approach that shouts, "I mean business." Jake, ever the limelight seeker, knew he had to strike while the iron was hot. The hype from the Tyson fight had launched him into the boxing stratosphere, and he wasn't going to let that momentum die down. Facing Perry, famed for his furious, hard-hitting fights, was Jake's golden ticket to prove his tenacity and flexibility. So on June 12, 2024, the discussions took underway, and both parties were anxious to finalize the agreement. Now Paul's management team, led by Nakis Abudarian, realized they had to lock down a viable opponent fast to keep the fans and media captivated. Perry, seeing an opportunity to go into the limelight and punch one of the most talked about people in boxing, was all in. They both realized this wasn't just about boxing. It was about putting on a performance that would captivate everyone's imagination. One of the greatest discussion topics was the venue. Both boxers had significant fan following, so they needed a site that could handle the hype and media frenzy. By June 15, 2024, they agreed on the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, a venue linked with epic boxing matches. This choice only heated up the hype and underlined the fight's significance. But Mike Tyson wasn't too polite to let him go away. His spectacular punch on July 8, 2024, placed Jake Paul in a world of hurt that even his wildest antics couldn't have prepared him for. This wasn't just any punch. This was a Tyson special, a strike with a type of ferocity and precision that could reshape your entire existence.
Yeah?
Where's the first
Yeah.
All right.
You got ice on your chest?
You know where you are? You know what state you're in?
Yeah, California.
What city are you in?
No way I would want to do that.
Yo, paramedic.
Yeah.
Before we go,
Right after the punch landed, it was evident Jake was in severe trouble. We're talking instant swelling, terrible pain, and a whole lot of staggering around like he'd just come off a roller coaster. That punch shattered Jake's rib, and he also caused himself a little concussion from the sheer force of it. During his hospital stay, Jake received a regular stream of visitors. His brother Logan was almost glued to his side, supplying emotional support and helping Jake cope with the whole situation. Usually these two are all about the bravado, but there were some genuinely contemplative moments as they pondered what had gone happened. Of course, after the news emerged, the media went into a frenzy. The hospital had to boost up security to keep the paparazzi out of the way, allowing only close relatives and medical workers near Jake. Despite the greatest attempts to keep everything under wraps, updates continued slipping out, fueling the public's voracious interest. On July 15, 2024, precisely a week after the punch, Jake was discharged from the hospital. He departed with a thorough treatment plan, pain management, physical therapy, and frequent examinations to ensure everything was mending properly. His jaw would take several weeks to fully repair, and concussion symptoms had to be followed regularly. Don't you believe Mike did the right thing? Was Jake begging for it? Or was Tyson out of line? I want to hear all your ideas and observations, so put them in the comments below.